The Ten Commandments, Part 2. Good day, friends. Today, we will explore what happened when Yahweh gave the people the Ten Commandments. But first, let's briefly list the Ten Commandments, repeat them after us, and learn them together in order.
The first commandment says we should worship only one Elohim.
The second commandment says we must not make any images and bow down to worship them.
The third commandment says we must not use the name of Yahweh in vain, which means not twisting or falsifying it.
And the fourth commandment says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. This means we must set the day apart from the world.
The fifth commandment says we must honor our fathers and mothers, meaning we should listen to them and love them.
The sixth commandment says we must not murder anyone.
The seventh commandment says do not commit adultery.
The eighth commandment says that we must not steal.
The ninth commandment instructs us not to bear false witness against our neighbor.
The 10th commandment says, you shall not covet what belongs to your neighbor, not his house, his wife, or anything that is his.
While Yahweh was delivering the 10th commandment, the people became fearful of the thunder, lightning, the sound of the trumpet, and the smoking mountain. They covered their ears and said they couldn't listen to Yahweh's voice anymore because they were afraid they would die.
Take note, friends. The people covered their ears to avoid hearing any more of Yahweh's law. And if we look at Isaiah 30 from verse 9, Yahweh says that this people are rebellious and deceitful, and they do not want to hear or see his law.
Here in Exodus or Shemot 20, they stopped Yahweh from speaking further and commanded Moses to go up the mountain to receive the rest of the commandments.
So, they promised to keep everything Yahweh would say to Moses.
Therefore, the commandments that Moses was about to receive are Yahweh's commandments, not his own laws. Many say that the Old Testament laws are Moses' laws, but that's not true. These are Yahweh's laws, and the people didn't want to listen to them.
Friends, just as our parents want us to obey them, Yahweh also wants our parents to obey him, and not close their ears or eyes to his law.
Imagine how upset our parents would get if we don't listen to them. Similarly, Yahweh gets upset and sad when people don't listen to him.
So, the people didn't want to listen to Yahweh anymore after he spoke these 10 words, which today are known by everyone as the 10 Commandments.
Yahweh wasn't finished speaking and was about to give more commandments, but the people didn't want to hear them. They closed their ears. So, they commanded Moses to go up the mountain and receive the rest of the commandments.
Yahweh wants a direct relationship with us and spoke directly to the people. However, the people were too afraid and didn't want to listen to Yahweh themselves. They chose another person, and namely Moses, to receive the remaining commandments.
The people also promised to keep everything Yahweh would say to Moses. Unfortunately, today people say that it wasn't Yahweh's law, but Moses' laws.
Moses only wrote down everything that Yahweh commanded the people. So, it's not Moses' laws, but still Yahweh's laws.
There were more commandments written on stone tablets. And please note, nowhere in Exodus or Shemot 20 is it written that Yahweh wrote the 10 words on stone tablets.
In part 3 of this series, we'll look at what was written on the stone tablets and how the people didn't want to see the glory of these commandments.
And as I mentioned earlier, in Isaiah 30 verse 9, Yahweh said that the people are rebellious and deceitful, not wanting to hear or see his law. But before we say goodbye, let's quickly recite the 10 commandments again. The first commandment says we should worship only one Elohim.
The second commandment says we must not make any images and bow down to worship them.
The third commandment says we must not use the name of Yahweh in vain.
And the fourth commandment says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
The fifth commandment says, honor your father and mother.
The sixth commandment says, we must not murder anyone.
The seventh commandment says, do not commit adultery.
The eighth commandment says that we must not steal.
The ninth commandment says, we must not bear false witness against our neighbor.
The 10th commandment says, you shall not covet what belongs to your neighbor, not his house, his wife, or anything that is his.
There you have it, friends. We hope you now know all the 10 Commandments and can recite them yourself.
Stay connected with Postbox Ministries for part 3 of this series, and join us in delving deeper into Yahweh's law.
May you have a blessed day. Shalom.